Jon Moxley, formerly known as Dean Ambrose, is one of the top stars of the last decade, be it during his time in WWE or when he made the move to AEW. Since his debut as a part of The Shield, it was clear his charisma was off the charts. Following the breakup of the faction when WWE was busy pushing Seth as a villain and Roman as a face, Moxley made his own place through his personality. In the first year of AEW's formation, he made a splash when he left WWE as one of the first big names to do so and headed over to AEW, where he became a key part of their roster, winning the world title. With such a persona, there's always more than enough stories circulating about Moxley. This is Wrestling Up, and we're looking at some of the wildest things said about Jon Moxley. Before we get into the rest of the video, make sure you subscribe to Wrestling Up and turn on all notifications to stay up to date with everything in the world of pro wrestling. One of the most awkward moments for Mox was when he appeared on the Steve Austin podcast. Moxley was asked about his childhood and that made him uncomfortable. Moxley shut down and refused to cooperate while Austin kept trying to push, with both looking frustrated. Austin later revealed he talked to Moxley after and they both regretted how their interview had gone. In fact, he expressed wishes to do it over again. Austin apparently apologized to Moxley for being too intrusive. This haunted me for so damn long. People just think that I'm this guy and there's this Darth Vader force field around me where I don't feel things. I do. When I've not made someone look the way they're supposed to look, that haunts me. So now we're back on the same page. I'm looking forward to talking to Jon Moxley. Moxley made a cameo during an episode of WWE Backstage a few months back when Renee was still working on the show from home due to the pandemic. Moxley was already a part of AEW. While Young was hosting, Mox decided to play a prank on her, appeared next to her while holding their dog. The moment was funny as Renee was startled and Xavier Woods and Booker T laughed. However, in the end, it turns out that Moxley appearing on the show was not well received by WWE, and it was Young who ended up catching heat. Moxley revealed how rough his childhood was in an interview. He grew up in the east side of Cincinnati. He talked about having to sell drugs to avoid being beaten up. In the end, wrestling would be the escape he needed. It was easy to get the feeling like all the garbage from the city ran down and washed up there, so that gave me a chip on my shoulder very early on. Moxley is known for being a violent star and he wanted to give fans at WrestleMania 33 one of the best matches. Unfortunately, his opponent Brock Lesnar was not having it. He apparently arrived and listened to all the pitches Moxley had and shut down everything. Instead, he worked the match of Mania as if it was another house show, leading to Moxley saying that Lesnar was lazy. Brock comes in at 6 p.m. and changes everything, and Vince is like, okay, we're gonna go with Brock's idea, and made everybody else look stupid except Brock, and the writers are just sitting there watching it in a room and they're just like, come on, we had this great ending to the show. Moxley was not the only WWE star upset with his position. There were times he didn't agree with WWE's booking decisions. Cara was another star who left WWE and talked about why Moxley made him mad. He said Moxley had been given everything, was still upset. Let me give you a perfect example. Dean Ambrose left, right? Moxley left the company. He was given everything. He was a Grand Slam champion, and even after he left, he was miserable. Imagine me who never got a chance to wrestle for the US title, the Intercontinental title, or the tag title. Imagine me and how I would feel. He felt that way and he was given everything. It was tough for me to look for those opportunities because I never got them. And it wasn't because of lack of effort or talent. It's because somebody in the office decides who they want to pick. It's unfortunate, but it's true. At Fyter Fest 2019, Shawn Spears hit Cody Rhodes with the ungimmicked part of the chair, resulting in the AEW EVP being cut open and bleeding. Cody revealed how Moxley reacted and shared a story of how he ripped into Spears backstage. I saw out of the corner of my eye as I headed for the training room Moxley and Tony Khan just ripping Spears to shreds. And I hadn't seen that side of the owner, and hadn't seen that side of Moxley, as some days he says half a word to you, other days he's talking your ear off. He's such a unique personality. It was cool to see that, because he cared about my health health, and he cared about the product, and I could see him pantomiming to Spears on how he was supposed to do it, and Tony's agreeing. Because you've got a wrestler like that, he's clearly got to be right, but he's wrong. I really appreciate he cared about me. He's wrong because I'm the one who told Spears to swing from the side. Former Ascension member Victor talked about Moxley and how he acted backstage. Victor said Moxley's match with Corbin was called off at the pay-per-view and Moxley ended up being frustrated. He cursed in the locker room but ended up controlling himself when he looked around at the other stars in the room who were from 205 Live and hardly ever on TV. One of the best things I can remember from seeing somebody in a locker room do was it was supposed to be Moxley and Corbin at a pay-per-view, and it was the last TV before it, and something happened to where their whole match got cut, and they only had so much time to do something. And I remember the writer coming into Mox and telling him this, and Mox goes, "What the f?" And he's about to say something like, "I can't believe it," and I see him like look around the locker room, and that was one of the locker rooms where it's jam-packed of a bunch of 205 Live that aren't doing anything, and a bunch of other guys who were struggling, and he just goes, "F it," you know what I mean? So it's hard. Everybody there is fighting, and it just never stops. It was a hard thing to deal with. Renee Young and Moxley are one of the most adored wrestling couples. Young talked about their marriage, revealing how unorthodox a method Moxley chose to propose to her. We were going to bed, and he like busted out the ring, and we were like, oh man, I guess we should do this now. So we ended up going on Yelp and we found a 24-hour pastor to come to our backyard. It was so handy, and his name was Pastor Pete, and he lived around the corner from us, so he was there. They were very concerned, by the way, because it was 1 o'clock in the morning, so technically it was Sunday, and they were very concerned about us calling. They were like, is everything okay? Have you guys been drinking? What's happening? We're like, it's fine, you can come down. So we had to get a witness, and we called and woke up a friend of ours and got it done. We got our marriage license about 6 months ago when we were in Reno. There was a live event in Reno and I was there with him. We just happened to walk up to City Hall and we went and got our marriage license then. So we'd been sitting on it so we could do this spur of the moment, hey, let's get married tonight kind of thing. Moxley and Renee also talked about their different sex life. We're very unserious, sarcastic, jokey people. If I ever came up to Renee and said, "Aw, you look so beautiful in the moonlight," you'd laugh. You'd be like, what the f? Yeah, if you came like crawling up to me like a cat in lingerie, like a Victoria's Secret ad or something, and you were like dead serious, I'd be like, what's going on? What's happening? I mean, for sure I'm in, but that's just not how we operate. Before coming to WWE, Moxley was already a legend in CZW. While there, he was wild and regularly bled enough to turn the wrestling mat red. In a shoot interview with CZW owner DJ Hyde, he revealed Moxley was more than wild during those days, and even talked about Moxley getting intimate with a woman while he was wearing a bear suit. Hyde talked about how Moxley lived with Sami Callihan, and Callihan found Moxley spread-eagled and passed out drunk on the floor dressed in a bear suit. When Sami picked up his camera to take a picture, he found the memory full, and when he checked it, he found that Moxley was apparently in the bear suit having sex with a girl until he passed out. And these were the wildest things said about Jon Moxley. I hope you're all having a great day. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you later.